I'm Mark Seifter.
And I'm Lindy Zayas Palmer.
And this is Arcane Mark.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Arcane Mark. Thank you so much for the cheer there, Numbat.
Thanks for joining us as we build a settlement in today's Build a Settlement workshop. With your ideas from chat and your votes from chat, we will build a settlement using the Pathfinder 2nd Edition settlement building rules while learning about those rules. Now, these settlements that you build in Pathfinder 2nd Edition can more or less work in your other games. I mean, it may have some things like alignment you don't need if you're not playing D&D or Pathfinder, but heck, most of the other stuff are things that you can use in a lot of different games. We're going to be using the Pathfinder 2nd Edition rules, and when you're building anything just about almost in any game system, you probably want to start with a concept. So, does anyone have any concepts for, like, high concept for a settlement that we could build today in the settlement building workshop? We've done several settlements before. Some of them more unusual than others.
So this could be anything from from a small village to a giant metropolis. We're not talking whole country or nation in this one, but we are talking some kind of a settlement.
So Jungle Treehouse settlement
is our first idea.
Yes. Then we have a city of slimes as our second idea.
Settlement.
Yes. Then city of slimes. Then.
City of Slimes.
A village by a mountain believed to be an earth elemental. The mountain is believed to be an earth elemental.
By a mountain that is believed to be an earth elemental. I'm seeing where this one is coming from. This is a
Next up is Coastal Town.
Coastal Town.
And then a piece of a plane manifested in the material plane.
A lot of good ideas here. A plane manifested in the material plane.
That's right. So we already have 5 ideas. Awesome.
Sweet.
Let's see. Yep. You know, Shadow said.
Yeah, you said you were going to do that.
The village
That's right,
that was based on the Earth Elemental hazard situation, and they totally did. A settlement built on a meteor impact site from Copernicus.
Built on a meteor impact.
Of course, Copernicus was looking for meteors from outer space.
There you go.
That's right. Rico, it wasn't your weeks that were wrong. We actually skipped last week because of Linda had a lot of work to do. So it was supposed to be last week. It wound up being this week.
Yes. But the suggestion was made nonetheless.
Yes, it made it. So, let's see. We had a lot of good ideas here. Why don't we vote for... How many did we wind up with?
6 ideas.
So, vote for one idea. Your favorite idea. Out of these 6 settlement ideas. And we will build that settlement workshop.
All right. We have a 3.
We do.
True to form, Rico has voted for that idea, too.
That's right.
We have a 3.
We have a 3. Okay, it looks like we're going to probably be building another 3. All right, it's going to be the village that is by a mountain that is believed to be an earth elemental. So the question is the village near a sort of like sessile mountain that people think is an earth elemental? Or is the village like on or inside of a mountain that is definitely an actually mobile earth elemental, and the village is just like on or in the creature? Because that's going to make a big difference between whether it's a village and there's a mountain nearby and they're like, oh yeah, that's probably a giant earth elemental that could come to life at any moment.
Alright, I will do near, on, and inside.
There we go. Near, on, or inside.
Which one do you want?
So vote for near, on, or inside the giant earth elemental. So we've got near, on, inside, inside. So inside is up by 1. On. So more people wanted to be involved with the monster.
I was putting in the numbers first.
It's 1, 2, 2, 3, 3.
1, 2, 2, 3, 3.
So it's clear from that because I feel like on and inside have a commonality in that they're both like moving with the creature, whereas one is not and it's just on the ground.
Yeah, but there's still a difference between like being atop of the mountain and being in, like kind of in a cavernous type thing.
Absolutely. Let's see what emote we wound up with from this hype train. Oh, I accidentally clicked the wrong thing.
Oopsie.
No, that's fine. So, let's see. Hey, Sean Wolf, we're voting for whether our settlement is going to be on, inside, or near a giant earth elemental that is as big as a mountain. So, we've pretty much looks like it's clear that it's either on or inside the earth elemental, rather than near, because I personally group those two together.
Oh, we got another vote.
We got another for inside. All right. So we're going to put the settlement inside of a giant earth elemental.
Village?
Now, if you were watching our other workshops with the Build a Hazard workshop, you know that there are certain hazards that you could use for like traveling inside this earth elemental. We also have a settlement that's in presumably a safe spot that's inside of the earth elemental. Now, think a little bit about the settlement and how it's going to survive. It's not going to have a lot of light because inside an earth elemental may need agriculture that does not need light or the ability to hunt for the food. And so that's...
How do they get food? How do they get food, water, and air?
Yeah, we're going to have to think about that as we go along. And also, like, what ancestries would want to live inside of a giant earth elemental. So,
and what does the giant earth elemental think about the people who live there?
So Chris Abbott suggests that mushrooms would be a good food for them, and I agree. That was one of the things I was thinking of as a possibility as well, that mushrooms could be a good staple crop. So, as we're thinking about that, let's decide in the population. Now, there's a bunch of different entries that we can do, but I think that what's going to really reveal a lot to us next is to figure out the population. In other words, how many people live inside this giant earth elemental? It's probably not too many. It's not, depending on its size.
It's described as a village.
It's a village, so we know from that then that it's not like enormous. And we also know. We want to know, like, how many of which ancestry live inside of this giant elemental. So,
potion makers are common due to rare earth and fungus found within the earth elemental. So,
and Numbat suggests bioluminescent plants can be used for lighting in case, like, not everything has dark vision. So, what do people think for the demographics? Name some ancestries
mushrooms
that you want. And when I say ancestries, it doesn't have to be a playable PC ancestry. It could be almost anything.
It's for light.
And Numbat says it could have some fungus leshy population. And Rico says it could have slimes and dragons in there.
Population. We have fungus leshy.
And Shadow says dwarves and fungus leshy.
Dragons, dwarves,
fungus leshy. So maybe it has dwarves, fungus leshy, toadstool dragons, and slimes as the four main ancestries.
Nice.
And Copernicus says it might have some gnomes too.
I can see Kragrax living here too.
Yeah, I could definitely see Kragrax in there. Let's put in Kragrax as well.
We're gonna throw in our,
There you go. So it's got, it's a village that has, those ancestries. Now, obviously, there aren't that many people here overall, so it's possible that some of these, like...
Oreads was a suggestion, too.
Yes, well, Oread is a versatile heritage, so any of these could be Oread. Oread versions of whatever they are. So presumably it's like there's like a small colony of toadstool dragons that's part of this, and then there's fungus leshies, maybe a small group of slimes, and then presumably like dwarves and dwarves, maybe the leshies and the gnomes are secondarily make up like probably the bulk of the population, and then we've got a decent number of slimes and a colony of dragons.
Yeah.
And some of them are toadstool dragons. Some of them are Oriads. They might even have slime Oriads. You never know. So that's about what we've got here. It's a village, so it's not going to be enormous. Let's see. A village would probably be like in the hundreds.
Yeah.
Because Otari at 1,240 people is a town.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it has like about 300 people. Like roughly 300 as the population. And we can say that that is like we can say that that's like 40% dwarven. 40% dwarf. 20%.
Oriads are people who have Earth genie heritage.
Yes, 20% fungus leshy, 20% gnome. That would be like 40, 60, 80. 10% toadstool dragon and 10% slime. That's an easy enough math that will add up.
Then we don't have any Kragraks there. We already have.
Oh, right. I forgot about Kragraks. Right. So let's. I forgot about Kragraks because they weren't on the list that I was looking at. So let's put in some percentage for Kragraks. Let's put down the dragons and slimes to 5% and add some Kragrak. Actually, I'd put maybe gnomes to 15% because they don't seem like they would want to be underground that much unless they were. Maybe they're deep gnomes.
Maybe we put gnomes and toadstools down by 5%. And we leave the gnomes at the slimes at 10% because slimes seem like they would have an easier time living in these kinds of harder conditions.
Let's put the gnomes down and
I put the gnomes and the dragons down.
And the dragons and get some Kragraks, and let's say they're deep gnomes because I don't think regular gnomes like the non-deep gnomes would necessarily want to be here, but I'm assuming that they meant deep gnomes in there. So that's what we've got in terms of our population. So that's going to inspire us. So our languages are going to probably be like Common, Dwarven, Terran, but also we've got some Gnomish, Sylvan, and Draconic as well. Because
do slimes have a special language?
They don't have like a slime language that's separate. So I think that's going to be a good list of languages, like the ancestries. Oh, Kragrak, did they have their? No, they speak Terran, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna be set with Kragrak.
Pretty sure.
All right. So what alignment overall is this village probably? So toadstool dragons tend to neutrality. Dwarves tend to like lawful, vaguely lawful good. Gnomes supposedly tend to neutral good according to the core rulebook, but I don't necessarily see that with them too often. But deep gnomes supposedly tend to true neutral, like the toadstool dragons. Leshies tend to have some amount of neutrality in them, but like not always. And slimes can be just about any alignment.
And Kragrak really depends upon
which like metamorph of Kragraks they are. So let's see, what alignment do people think our village might be as a predominant alignment? Obviously not everyone in the village is going to be the same alignment, but like as the overall settlement alignment. Does anyone have any votes or ideas on the settlement's alignment? We've got lawful neutral because of the larger dwarven population, keep the rules in place. Copernicus says true neutral because a lot of the types of villagers presumably are true neutral, but Chris Abbott points out the dwarves are the highest individual population. True neutral living in harmony with the earth elemental, says Shadow. Those are the two alignments that I think are the most likely as well, are either lawful neutral or true neutral. Let's see if anyone else has any ideas, but that certainly starts to suggest and paint a picture of what we've got here for our settlement. Now, the next question that we have to answer for ourselves, and I'll let people keep voting in about lawful neutral or true neutral as we're doing this, is what is the government structure of this village? And it's small enough, maybe it doesn't have a huge government structure. Numbat's leaning to true neutral, so let's do true neutral.
So maybe then what that suggests with the one level neutral is that the government is that the people as a whole might be more neutral, but that the government structure might be one that's a little more has more of a lawful bent to it.
That may be true as well. And that is wondering, do people know they're living in an elemental? I'm gonna say that they do know that they're living in an elemental. Just but the movement of the rock, it's at least clear that they're living in some kind of moving cavern. Now, whether or not they know how to get out safely through those hazards, or maybe only a few people can, that could be an important part of how their government and their economy works. Rico suggests that the rulers are the slimes of this settlement. And Numbat says an occasional gathering of representatives of each population base to address issues. So it's kind of like a council with representatives from each ancestry or each population base, which may not be divided by ancestry.
Council with representatives of each population.
Yep.
And
Slimeocracy.
And Slimeocracy.
Any other suggestions than council with representatives for each population and Slimeocracy?
It's wondering how a representative council is like a much more typical government. I'm wondering about how how Slimeocracy would have come about. Like, is there some kind of mega slime that
why would it even be a Slimeocracy? There's another suggestion of a religious government where Oriads are the theocratic chosen ones because they're touched by the earth elemental they live inside. And Chris Abbott, it may be true that at council meetings the slime representative sits in a giant glass bowl. We don't know. We don't have eyes on those council meetings.
Slimeocracy is indistinguishable from sufficiently advanced representative democracy.
Is that because they the slimes can change their shape to gerrymander any district that they want?
Oh no. Oh no.
Because their population is very low, so a representative democracy you would think would not make them in charge of everything.
Alright, I'm gonna put this up for 1, 2, 3 vote.
So vote between Council of Representatives of each population, Slimeocracy, or Theocracy with Oriad chosen ones. Pick 1, 2, or 3 and put it into the chats. And this will decide. In our democracy, where we're voting between a Theocracy, a representative council, or Slimeocracy. Okay, it looks like Theocracy has won in this vote. Populism has installed a theocracy, theocratic government. So where Oriads are chosen ones. So any ancestry can have Oriads that pop up among their population, and they are considered the chosen ones who lead the theocracy in sort of their earth elemental worshipping religion that worships the entire giant earth elemental they live inside as their living deity and protector, and also home that they live inside. I guess in the same way that in Futurama, where the worms were called Fry Universe because they lived inside of Fry. All of these people are worshiping this giant earth elemental.
So that suggests that the people do, at least some people do know how to navigate. Maybe the Oriads know how to navigate safely through the mountain, and they are...
Maybe at least it's thought that they can quell it down when the mountain is moving too much and shaking things up, that the Oriads can reason with the mountain, and it's thought that maybe more Oriads are born here because of the influence of living inside the giant elemental, and it means they were touched by their god. Most likely, according to them, because our population does not include literal earth elementals or shaitan genies. So, presumably the Oriad magic comes from the elemental itself. So our main religion is
of the living god mountain.
Worship of the god mountain is the main religion here. Now the question is, It's a theocracy. Do they even have any other religions here? Also, Chris Abbott's wondering, do they ban the casting of earth manipulation magic like Stone Shape or Earthquake because it's like messing around with the their god's body? They probably do.
Quake are enough.
If you mess with the body of the god, then that's considered a taboo.
Seem to be.
However, they probably have powerful earth magic as long as you don't use it to mess with their god's body.
Yeah.
So it's like probably like encouraging you to use earth magic, but not for that. Let's see. So maybe their trait is that their trait is geomancy, which states that you can find. We should probably figure out what level this settlement is first.
So villages are normally like it's 0 or 1, but this feels like it's gonna be.
It says that an average village is 0 or 1, but this is not an average village. This is in a really high level location. Yeah. So it's probably not going to be a typical village at all. Also, to be fair, while the game was balanced around a village being 0 or 1, a town being 2 to 4, a city being 5 to 7, and a metropolis being probably at most 13 in most cases, except maybe this like extra planar metropolises. This is obviously not what happened when people were actually setting up the settlements in Golarion, and in fact, there was level creep on a lot of these settlements, which has its own other like ramifying implications for earn income and crafting and a bunch of other things, but additionally means that even if this was a regular village, maybe the level creep would change the numbers that are actually expected here. But this is no regular village. It definitely does not level 0 or 1. So what level do folk think
this village is? Let's see.
All right, let's see. What level does everyone think this is? What level were the hazards like that you have to survive if you want to navigate the non-safe places within the Earth Elemental from like our previous hazard workshop? Weren't they like level 10-ish? Or like even a little higher than 10?
Escaping hold on. The rushing river of interdimensional oozes.
No, that's the chase.
Let's see. Gladiatorial combat, totally not inspired
by. That's the encounter.
Solo fight.
It's after that.
Okay. Deity.
It should be before the deity and after the.
Well, I mean, I have it in this document. It might just be on the.
All right, fair enough. Then we can look for it in workshops. There's workshops. Let's see. Yes, here it is. It is a level 13 hazard. So
yes,
the hazard is level 13, and yeah, Rico also remembered it being 13. So if the hazard is level 13, if you go out of the safe place of the settlement and go into the hazards, there's level 13 hazards and stuff that are inside this elemental. I feel like the village probably is not high enough level that they can beat that hazard, but they must not be that much lower level than it, or else like they'd just get super annihilated if their best people just would be raffle stomped.
Unless the idea is that the hazard is deliberately triggered by the god mounted.
Yes, and so it's not used on them. Yeah. That's possible too. And Rico says that Oriads may be able to burrow around the hazard, which is certainly possible. Or just maybe the mountain doesn't trigger on Oriads, and that's part of why they're the divine chosen ones. It's also possible that the reason why the settlement may have a higher level is due to like that colony of toadstool dragons may be more powerful on average than the rest of the settlement.
And settlement level also reflects like the kinds of things that you can find and buy there. So they might also have
it's like... what, 5% dragons, which is like 15 dragons. Yeah. And if the 15 dragons are all kind of higher level, it can pull up the settlement level a little. Because the settlement level just indicates, like you said, Linda, what you can buy, what kind of spells you can expect to find, and what some of the higher level people, but not just like unique 1 or 2 people, but the overall higher level people you could possibly hire in the town would be.
So yeah, what do folks think for level?
Yes, any ideas? We ran our mouth off about level for a while, but We'd like to hear what you think about the possible level of this village. Whatever it is, we'll put in. Linda, we can put in a geomancy trait that says that it can get higher level stuff than that for spells and magic items with the Earth trait, except ones that are used to like manipulate the rock of the elemental, which are illegal. All right, rock solid 10 says Shadow, and Copernicus says 10 or 11. 10 for Chris Abbott. All right, so it's a level 10 village. It's just a wild, high-level village. It's a higher level than...
Find spells and magic items with the Earth trait.
It's higher level than, like, a minimum for a metropolis. So let's say that the Earth trait spells and magic items are items that are up to level maybe 14, and spells up to levels 7 that are... or maybe just the items, because it would be weird where do you get the spells. Magic items up to level 14 that have the Earth trait. Or that, like, cast spells with the Earth trait. Unless they would be able to manipulate the rock, in which case they are illegal. Alright, so what are some of the major threats to this village? So, obviously, like, weird Earth elemental, like... the antibody creatures we talked about that live inside of the giant Earth elemental. If there are any that are overzealous and can't be placated by the Oreads, that would have to be one of the threats. Or just quakes caused by the mountain moving a lot. Did people have some other ideas for threats to this village that could be a problem? Are there any internal threats from, like, people in the population who are disaffected by the Oread's rule? Like, maybe that they want to worship a different religion and they're a religious sect that has a problem? Are there, like, other creatures that have infested the Earth Elemental? Are adventurers one of the threats to this village?
The mountain wanders around sometimes, creating existential threats from other kingdoms nearby.
So it's like the military of kingdoms that the military of kingdoms that the mountain wanders into are one of the threats for this village. Yeah. Like orders of knights and soldiers from those kingdoms. That's great.
So we have military, probably military and adventurers.
Yes, military
from
and
nearby
adventurers.
kingdoms that the mountain wanders into.
Yes, love it.
Sweet. We also had that idea of like a potion making industry being something that they've got going on.
Yes, so maybe given that they have a potion making industry, maybe there's some like issues with like illegal potions. And Chris is wondering, does the Theocracy feel responsibility if their mountain god is moving toward a city like an avalanche will destroy it if the chosen ones can't communicate with their deity to turn aside? Could this be a mission the PCs get to convince them? I mean, it could. It's possible they just don't know because they don't see what's going on outside. So you have to brave your way inside and then convince them to turn it around, because otherwise they wouldn't have known they were about to crush your city because they're living inside living their best life.
There was a mention of cave worms eating the fungus, so it could be like cave worm infestations.
Maybe cave worm infestations is like having a parasitic worm inside of you if you're a smaller creature. And that is terrifying and shows how big this kaiju earth elemental is, that it can have cave worms as like a parasitic worm. Yeah, I like that. So the cave worms are obviously incredibly dangerous for this village because they're really high level compared to a level 10 village that some of their highest level regulars are level 10.
So does that imply maybe that the mountain might do some of its wandering on purpose because occasionally the mountain's like, I've got cave worms. Let's wander over here. And
maybe it's in pain from the worms.
Yeah. It'll get some adventurers to come in here and try to clear that out.
So I like these threats. I think we have some good threats. Let's put in a few people. So significant NPCs is the final section. That's going to be a few significant NPCs. So first of all, is there an Oread who is like the head of the church? Or at least the most influential church person. There almost certainly is. Dat Oop says they could have a mud bath industry to relax and have a high tier spa experience. Definitely. So, which of the ancestries do people think is the Oread who's in charge? A fungus fleshy, says Shadow. Okay, so it's a Oread Leshy. And if you take Oread as your heritage, you wind up not having taken fungus or any of the other heritages, but you obviously have to have some type of plant or fungus. So it's a fungal Oread Leshy with it's a combination of like rock and soil and fungi that makes up this Leshy.
It's named Kyanite.
Kyanite, yes.
So Kyanite, fungal Oread Leshy.
And so this is probably neutral because just like that's what the settlement's alignment is, and that's what the religion's alignment is.
And then High Priest of the Mountain.
Yes, High Priest of the Mountain God. Or Mountain Deity, or whatever we want to call it. Alright, so that's 1. Let's try to get 4 total. So, is there someone... Stone Speaker can be the formal title of this person. So, Stone Speaker Kyanite.
Nice.
Alright, great. Is there someone who is like the most innovative of the like potion and alchemy makers in the town? Like, what ancestry do you think they are? So, I think that Rika, are you suggesting that the Stone Speaker be a slime instead of a fungus leshy? Suggesting it be a slime instead of a fungus slushy. So, why don't we have a vote in chat whether you think the Stone Speaker should be a slime, a metal slime, or a fungus slushy? Everyone vote for one or the other there. So, metal slime or fungus slushy for the Stone Speaker. Rico says option 3. Option 2. Okay. So we've got fungus slushy, we've got metal slime. Any other takers to figure out who's in charge of our theocracy here? So slime. Alright, so it looks like we're going to have... Kyanite is going to be a metal slime instead of a fungus slushy, but in exchange...
Or we can keep the name Kyanite, for if that was supposed to be a Leshy name, then we can have the Leshy be the alchemist.
Yes, I was going to say in exchange the Leshy can be the alchemist. So, I'm not sure if someone wants to name either the slime or the Leshy, and then we switch Kyanite to be the Leshy. No, Leshy was not winning. Number 2... Rio, number 2 is the... Oh, wait, no. I see. You're right. Number 2 is the Leshy. I got it. Okay. I did it the other way around when I said it out loud.
Fixing it then.
Okay, Leshy did win. I was totally wrong.
So then the alchemist can be the metal slime. I mean, that makes actually a lot of sense.
The slime is the alchemist. That's awesome. So what should the name of the slime be? Who's the slime alchemist? You may be using their own slime to mix in with the rare earth and the fungi to create new alchemical concoctions. Alright, so we'll keep the Leshy as the high priest.
So is metal slime actually a thing? Is that like a...
Yeah, it's a feat you can get at slime, Linda. You haven't even read the famous Battle Zoo Ancestry slimes?
I thought it was, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't conflating with other stuff.
So we have 2 ideas for a slime name is Gulrock and Slurp. Maybe its name is Slurp Gulrock. So Slurp as a first name and Gulrock as the second name is the name of the slime alchemist who is the
the Oread Metal Slime Alchemist.
Is the top alchemist here.
Oread Metal Slime.
So if there's
Potion Maker.
If there's somebody, people are saying sounds pretty good together considering they were come up with separately. So we probably have somebody who's like a scout or something like that, who is like one of the few people who's known to be able to navigate the weird hazards and actually like scout to the surface occasionally. Some kind of a scout or ranger. Rico says that I made the main name the one that's pronounceable, made the surname nonsensical. No, I just thought Slurp Gulrock sounded better than Gulrock Slurp.
Yeah.
Because it was like rock was in it, so it sounds
more
more
last
like
name.
a second
it's more
name.
final, yeah.
So what ancestry do people think the person who like is sort of like the scout or ranger who sometimes can make it through the hazards and get to the surface is? I think that's probably our third important person here. We should get a name and an ancestry for them. Rico says it only sounds better because of given name bias. So a dragon for that one. That makes sense.
Yeah.
A toadstool dragon because they could probably fly. That could help them out. If they're not eternal anyway. So what's the name of our toadstool dragon scout? Who's one of the top people here. And while you're thinking of the name of the Toadstool Dragon Scout, I think maybe the fourth important person is the head of the mud bath spa industry.
Oh, yeah.
So people can also think about what ancestry the head of the mud bath spa industry
So
might
I'm
be.
noting that the population is 40% dwarf, but we don't have any dwarves in the notable NPCs, so...
Yep, that's true. Maybe that's actually something about the settlement, is that it has a lot of dwarves, but that the notable NPCs tend to be from the minority groups. The slime alchemist filters impurities out of the potion ingredients by pouring them through its own pseudopods. The impurities can be seen as an oily sheen on the surface. Cool. So, like, imagine if a Cragrack was the mud bath person, and it was just like, yep, so there's a lot of dwarves here, and they just aren't any of the most influential people. That could suggest that there may be also, like, some dwarves who... Maybe that's also why it's not a lawful settlement, because some of the most influential people are actually not dwarves. But that it just matters who are Oriads. And maybe the other ancestries happen to have some influential Oriads right now. People are saying dwarf for the spa, though. So, or possibly gnome. So yeah, there we go. It can be a mud bath spa that's run by two dwarves named Rock and Stone.
Excuse me.
Rock and Stone. Yeah, sure. What do you think, Rico? Do you think Rock and Stone are brothers, husbands, just business partners? Like, what's their situation? And then we should get a name for the Dragon Scout. And then I think we're set.
And maybe they are lawful neutral to pick up
Yes,
that idea.
they could be
lawful
neutral
ones, and other people are true neutral here.
Yep. Maybe the Alchemist is actually chaotic neutral. And is doing weird experiments.
So we need an alignment for the Alchemist and a name for the Toadstool Dragon.
Suggestion is that the dragon could be named Scott. Rico says that the Rock and Stone are sisters, so there you go. And suggestions for the Toadstool Dragon Scout are Toady and Scott.
Rock and Stone are sisters.
There you have it. So, there we go. Let's go with... Then, let's go with this for the... This is the name of the Toadstool Dragon, then.
Todescott?
Todescott. Because Toady and Scott were the two suggestions.
There we go.
So, Todescott. Alright, we now have built a settlement. There's lots of plots and weird things going on here that would be very amusing for people to interact with. You could probably run this in all sorts of games.
Oh, what's the settlement's name?
Yeah, we should have a name. What do people think this place is called? Let's see. It's a settlement inside of a giant kaiju earth elemental that they worship as a god.
It's a pretty rad place.
Is it called, like, Earthgullet?
I like the idea that this settlement could I like the idea that this settlement is also something that could just be introduced into your campaign, which just like, well, why is there a mountain here? There wasn't a mountain here yesterday. Well, the mountain came up from underground after, like, there was these weird earthquakes that couldn't really be explained, and then...
Now there's a mountain. So yeah.
Settlement of alloys.
That is one suggestion is settlement of alloys. What is the elemental's name? Maybe they don't know. Maybe they call it the mountain. So maybe that's what I was thinking, like Earthgullet or Mountain Gullet, because it's inside of the mountain's gullet. What do people think? In Pathfinder, in general, metal is like a different element than earth. Gull's reach is another suggestion here. Like a bird gull. I'm not sure that gulls would be able to make it in there. Let's see. Rico's going to use it to explain the discrepancy in maps from the overlay versus the explored version of Kingmaker campaign where there's a mountain somewhere.
That's awesome.
I mean, there you have it. Deep Rock is another suggestion. So let's put it up to a vote.
All right, let's.
Do you have mine in there too?
We have Settlement of Allies. You said a couple different gullets. Which one did you like better?
We can go with Earthgullet. Mountain Gullet, I think, is too long.
One word or two?
One word. Alright, let's vote for the settlement's name, and that'll be a wrap. So put the number of the name you like best into the chat. And
we have four.
I see. I scared away some names because people actually like my name this time.
Earthgullet.
We're doing it.
Yep.
Earthgullet. All right, we've made this the village of Earthgullet. A strange and unusual village that you too can use to explain away discrepancies in your hex maps when a mountain is where it shouldn't be. Or whatever you want. And you've got a kaiju earth elemental with plot hooks aplenty. You can combine it with the hazard we created in the hazard workshop, which you can find all of these workshop information, including the level 13 hazard
at tiny.cc/arcanemark,
which I am now putting a link in the chat. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Honestly, there wasn't a lot of stuff going on, and there aren't any Paizo blogs, so I don't even think we have to do an outro. We could just say bye to YouTube and bye to everyone else. So bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you next time.